When you look around at the chaos in the modern world, the anxiety, the moral confusion, the spiritual emptiness, you begin to understand that something essential is missing. People are floating, untethered, grasping at temporary pleasures to mask a permanent void. And here stands Islam, not as an opinion, not as a cultural inheritance, but as a complete, coherent, and intellectually rigorous system of truth. Islam isn't a religion in the shallow sense, it is a framework of being. It addresses the fundamental question every human must ask: why am I here? And the answer is not left vague or poetic. It is crystal clear: to worship the Creator, to live with purpose, to strive for goodness, and to return to Him. The word Islam itself means submission, but not submission in the sense of defeat. It is submission to the ultimate reality, the author of existence, the one beyond time and space, the necessary being. Submission not as surrender, but as alignment. You align your soul with the laws of the universe, and suddenly there is peace. Real peace, because inner peace can only come when your heart knows its direction. And then we have the Qur'an, not just a book, but a miracle. One that transcends time, that speaks to the soul and challenges the intellect. It was revealed over 1,400 years ago, and yet its verses speak with piercing relevance today. Its rhythm, its message, its laws, and its layered meanings cannot be replicated. This is not blind faith. This is a challenge to reason and a call to contemplation. How many books claim to come from God and dare you to investigate them with your mind? Islam gives you clarity in a world that thrives on confusion. It tells you what is right and what is wrong, not based on fleeting cultural moods or emotional whims, but on an eternal standard. It grounds morality not in man who changes, but in God who is constant. Look at the psychological strength Islam builds. 5 daily prayers to center the soul, fasting to master the self, charity to eliminate arrogance and promote compassion, Hajj to erase the ego. Each command is designed not to restrict you, but to elevate you. And beyond that, it unites humanity, not under race, not under class, not under nationality, but under the belief that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. You could be rich or poor, black or white, Arab or non-Arab. You stand shoulder to shoulder in prayer, equal in worth, distinct only by your righteousness. But perhaps the most beautiful balance Islam brings is between the dunya, this life, and the akhirah, the next. It does not tell you to escape the world, nor does it encourage you to drown in it. It tells you to walk through it with excellence, to contribute, to love, to build, to strive. But never forget, this is not your final home. In a time when people are chasing their own desires as if that is freedom, Islam says, real freedom is discipline. Real peace is submission. Real truth is not invented. It is revealed. And when you understand that, you stop surviving and you start living with meaning, with dignity, with purpose. This is Islam, not just a religion, but the best way to be human. Would you like this in video script format or turned into a visual slide presentation as well? Islam as a complete system of life is one of the most profound and defining characteristics that distinguish it from other belief systems. It is not merely a set of rituals or abstract doctrines confined to personal belief or worship. Rather, it is a comprehensive, all-encompassing way of living that integrates every aspect of human existence: spiritual, moral, social, political, legal, psychological, and economic into one cohesive framework. From the moment a person wakes up in the morning until they sleep at night, Islam provides a blueprint. And this is not merely for individual guidance. It extends to how communities function, how justice is administered, how wealth is distributed, and how societies are built. Islam does not ask its followers to separate their faith from their actions or their personal lives from their public roles. It brings coherence between what one believes and how one lives. One of the most striking features of this system is its grounding in divine wisdom. The laws of Islam, known as Sharia, are not man-made constructs that evolve with trends or ideologies. They are based on revelation, drawn from the Qur'an and the authentic teachings of the Prophet Muhammad FDA. These laws encompass everything from dietary rules to business ethics, from family relationships to international diplomacy. For instance, the rights and responsibilities in marriage are clearly outlined. There are defined rulings on how to conduct trade and avoid exploitation. There are rules for governance, the administration of justice, and even the ethical treatment of animals and the environment. Islam does not leave room for confusion when it comes to human conduct. It provides clarity rooted in timeless values. This completeness is not oppressive, it is liberating. In a world where people are bombarded with contradictory messages about right and wrong, Islam offers consistency. It does not bend to every societal shift, and that is a sign of its strength, not rigidity. Humans crave structure, meaning, and stability. And Islam gives them that, not through control, but through divine guidance that aligns with the fitra, the natural disposition that every human being is born with. It doesn't require a person to abandon their intellect. Rather, it invites them to think, reflect, and understand. The harmony between reason and revelation in Islam is unique. It neither glorifies human intellect above divine instruction, nor dismisses it as irrelevant. It places everything in its rightful place. Furthermore, this complete system addresses both the material and spiritual dimensions of life. Unlike ideologies that lean entirely into materialism or those that advocate ascetic withdrawal from the world, Islam creates a balance. It encourages the pursuit of wealth, education, and progress, but within the bounds of morality and justice. It commands believers to pray and fast, yes, but also to serve, to lead, to heal, to invent, to build. Islam does not ask its followers to detach from the world. It commands them to engage with it ethically and purposefully. This creates a powerful sense of mission, not just for individual salvation, but for societal transformation. This system is also dynamic. It has room for ijtihad, intellectual exertion, allowing scholars to address new issues using the principles of the Qur'an and Sunnah. That's why it has remained relevant across centuries, cultures, and civilizations. It flourished in Arabia, spread through Africa and Asia, thrived in Andalusia, and continues to inspire minds in the modern world. And wherever it went, it elevated society, introducing hospitals, universities, libraries, and justice systems. It is not a stagnant religion stuck in the past, but a living system that provides guidance for the present and hope for the future. In short, Islam as a complete system of life is not just a belief. It's a roadmap. It gives direction in confusion, stability in chaos, and discipline in a world driven by impulse. It transforms individuals, and through them, it transforms the world. It is holistic, purposeful, and divinely orchestrated, a way of life that is not only sustainable but noble. The essence of Islam lies in its very name, submission, but this submission is not to any man, institution, or temporary power. It is submission to the ultimate truth, the one who created the universe and sustains every atom within it. It is the acknowledgement that there is a higher power, a greater will, a divine intelligence that is not subject to time, space, or limitation. This concept is not only spiritual, but deeply rational. Human beings, despite all their advancement, remain limited. Our knowledge is finite, our perception skewed, our morality ever-changing. Islam says, surrender not to the chaos of human opinion, but to the clarity and perfection of divine instruction. And in doing so, you do not become weak, you become anchored. You are no longer at the mercy of trends, confusion, or the instability of emotion and ego. You have aligned yourself with truth, and that gives life purpose. The Islamic concept of God is unique in its clarity and depth. He is not a distant deity or an abstract force. He is near, all-knowing, merciful, just, and absolutely one. He has no partners, no children, no intermediaries. This radical monotheism brings unparalleled spiritual focus. It removes any confusion or dilution of worship. Every prayer, every act, every intention can be directed solely to Him. This pure connection between the human and the divine is liberating. You don't need to go through a priest or saint. You speak directly to your Creator, who knows your thoughts before you speak them and your tears before they fall. This personal and direct relationship with God fosters accountability, humility, and inner peace. You are constantly aware that you are seen, known, and guided, and this constant awareness is transformative. When Islam speaks of submission, it is not a passive surrender. It is an active alignment. It is saying, I choose to live in harmony with the purpose for which I was created. And that purpose is not left ambiguous. Islam teaches that humans were created to worship God, not only through rituals, but through living justly, acting with mercy, seeking knowledge, and fulfilling their responsibilities. Everything becomes an act of worship when done with the right intention, whether it's earning a living, raising a family, or serving society. This makes life deeply meaningful. Every moment counts. Nothing is wasted. Even hardship becomes a means of drawing closer to God, and success becomes a test of gratitude and humility. This submission also fosters discipline and structure. The 5 daily prayers anchor your day. Fasting teaches you restraint. Charity reminds you that your wealth is not truly yours. Pilgrimage breaks down your ego. These are not empty rituals. They are powerful tools to refine your character and realign your priorities. In a world where people are slaves to their desires, Islam calls you to master yourself by submitting to something greater. It does not destroy your individuality. It purifies it. It makes you more patient, more truthful, more compassionate. It trains you to think not only of your rights, but your responsibilities. Not only your freedom, but your accountability. That is true empowerment. Submission to God in Islam is also the key to real freedom, because when you do not submit to God, you inevitably submit to something else: your ego, your society, your desires, your fears. Islam liberates you from this. It says, you were not created to follow man-made illusions. You were created for something higher. And when you recognize that, you rise above the noise of the world. You begin to live with clarity, direction, and peace. Islam does not ask you to abandon reason. It invites you to use it to discover truth. It does not ask for blind faith, but for conscious submission. And in that submission lies a strength, a serenity, and a sense of purpose that no other system can offer. It is not weakness to submit to God. It is the beginning of true strength. The Qur'an stands as one of the most compelling and enduring miracles in human history. It is not merely a book of religious rituals or moral tales. It is a profound, multi-layered, and unmatched revelation that speaks simultaneously to the heart, the mind, and the soul. What makes the Qur'an so unique is that it does not shy away from intellectual scrutiny. In fact, it invites it. Over and over again, it asks its reader to think, to reflect, to ponder. It engages with logic, history, science, psychology, and ethics. It challenges the listener, calls them to witness its consistency, its linguistic beauty, and its unmatched depth. No other book in history has had the same level of memorization, recitation, or influence across civilizations and generations while remaining unchanged in its original language for over 14 centuries. The language of the Qur'an is miraculous in itself. It was revealed in a society known for its mastery of Arabic poetry and eloquence. The most skilled poets and linguists of the time were left stunned by the Qur'an's unmatched linguistic style, its rhythm, its structure, and its power. It did not conform to the known styles of poetry or prose. It created a genre of its own. Many of the Prophet Muhammad's letter F fiercest enemies, despite their rejection of his message, could not deny the literary magnificence of the Qur'an. It was not just eloquence, it was divine. And even today, native Arabic speakers, including scholars of literature and language, acknowledge that the Qur'an contains layers of depth, precision, and artistry that no human author could replicate. Its verses convey vast meanings using few words, and its structure is so intricate that modern linguistic analysis continues to uncover its mathematical harmony and coherence. Beyond language, the Qur'an speaks across time. It addressed the concerns of its original audience, yet its messages transcend history. It provides moral clarity, spiritual healing, and intellectual stimulation. It speaks about the nature of man, the purpose of life, the reality of death, the beauty of patience, the danger of arrogance, and the necessity of justice. It gives stories not for entertainment, but for deep reflection, narratives about past nations, prophets, and moral consequences. These are not myths or legends. They are lessons designed to awaken the soul and sharpen the mind. The Qur'an is not afraid to speak directly and firmly, but also does so with profound mercy and wisdom. Every verse has layers of meaning that unveil themselves through contemplation, study, and sincerity. What makes the Qur'an even more astonishing is how it seamlessly blends revelation with scientific and natural observations, long before modern science developed. It mentions the stages of embryonic development, the structure of the heavens, the movement of celestial bodies, the water cycle, and the origin of the universe in ways that align remarkably with current scientific understanding. While it is not a science textbook, it contains signs, ayat, that point to the Creator's mastery over the physical world. These signs were revealed to an unlettered man in the 7th century, living in a desert with no access to the scientific institutions we know today. This alone should prompt sincere reflection. The Qur'an also plays a unique role in the life of Muslims. It is not placed on a shelf only to be read during ceremonies. It is memorized, recited daily in prayer, studied in depth by children and scholars alike. It governs laws, inspires poetry, guides personal conduct, and comforts hearts. It is recited in the rhythm of peace and reflection, heard in the early hours before dawn in homes, mosques, and gatherings across the world. The connection Muslims have with the Quran is living, dynamic, and heartfelt. Millions of people have committed it to memory word for word, from every nation, many of whom do not even speak Arabic. This in itself is a miracle. To engage with the Quran is to engage with divine speech, precise, profound, and preserved. It is not the product of a human mind. No contradictions, no errors, no outdated messages. It is the timeless word of the one who created time. Those who approach it with sincerity find that it speaks to them personally. It awakens something deep within, the fitra, the innate recognition of truth. The Quran does not simply inform, it transforms. It does not demand blind obedience, it inspires conscious belief. In a world flooded with empty words, the Quran stands as a beacon of divine wisdom, calling every soul to its origin, purpose, and eternal destination. Psychological stability is one of the deepest human needs. In a world that constantly bombards people with pressure, distractions, uncertainty, and ever-changing definitions of success, many are left feeling lost, anxious, or empty. Islam provides an anchor, something firm to hold on to amidst the storms of life. It does not deny the reality of human emotions or the complexity of the mind. Instead, it offers a comprehensive solution rooted in spiritual and psychological wisdom. At the heart of this solution is purpose. Islam gives life a clear and elevated purpose: to worship the Creator, to live ethically, and to strive for excellence in both this life and the hereafter. When a person understands their purpose, confusion disappears. Pain has meaning. Struggle has direction. Success is no longer a temporary high, but a step in a larger journey. And failure, no matter how heavy, is never the end. Many psychological disorders today are linked to a lack of meaning, identity crises, and the pressure to constantly perform or achieve without knowing why. Islam answers these existential questions in a way that is both comforting and intellectually satisfying. It teaches that the human being is more than a physical body. There is a soul that longs for connection with its Creator. Islam nurtures this soul with prayer, remembrance, gratitude, and reflection. These aren't just rituals, they are therapeutic practices. When a Muslim prays, it is not just an obligation. It is a moment of stillness, of returning home. 5 times a day, the believer detaches from the noise of the world and connects with the divine. This rhythm provides stability, a psychological structure that keeps the heart soft and the mind clear. Fasting, for example, is not just abstaining from food. It is training the self in discipline, patience, and control. It teaches the mind to rise above physical urges, to embrace discomfort for the sake of something higher. In doing so, it strengthens willpower and emotional resilience. Charity or zakat is not just about wealth. It removes greed, nurtures empathy, and reinforces the idea that true satisfaction lies not in hoarding, but in giving. Even the concept of trials and suffering is redefined in Islam. Hardship is not seen as a punishment, but as a test and opportunity to grow closer to God, to build character, and to elevate one's status in the hereafter. This transforms the way believers interpret pain. It is no longer meaningless, but purposeful. Islam also protects the human mind and soul from the corrosive effects of sin, excessive desire, and moral confusion. It sets boundaries, not to restrict freedom, but to protect dignity. It teaches that true happiness comes not from following every impulse, but from mastering oneself and living within the guidance of revelation. This self-mastery leads to confidence and inner peace. A believer knows who they are, why they were created, and what they are working toward. They are not thrown into the chaos of modern life without a map. They are given clear direction, constant reminders, and a supportive community to help them on their journey. Moreover, Islam builds resilience through trust in God, tawakkul. This trust doesn't mean passive waiting. It means doing your best while believing that the outcome rests in the hands of the all-knowing. It reduces anxiety because you know that success and failure are both under divine wisdom. You stop trying to control every aspect of life and instead focus on effort, sincerity, and patience. This trust gives the heart peace. You learn to accept what comes your way without breaking. And when life brings you down, you rise not with arrogance, but with humility and renewed strength. In every layer of Islamic teaching, there is a psychological insight. From controlling anger to forgiving others to being content with what you have, each principle heals the soul. Islam does not ignore the complexity of human nature. It understands it deeply. It doesn't promise a life without hardship, but it offers a life with meaning, direction, and profound inner peace. And in a world starving for both mental stability and spiritual depth, Islam offers the perfect balance of both. One of the greatest strengths of Islam is its unshakable moral foundation. In a time when morality often shifts according to public opinion, trends, or political interests, Islam stands firm with timeless principles rooted in divine guidance. Right and wrong in Islam are not left to be determined by societal changes or subjective feelings. They are grounded in the Qur'an and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, which provide a consistent and objective moral compass. This consistency gives clarity in a world clouded by moral confusion. While many modern systems struggle to define ethics without contradiction, Islam offers a framework that is both stable and adaptable, allowing for interpretation where appropriate, but never compromising on foundational values such as justice, truthfulness, mercy, and human dignity. The moral teachings of Islam are not abstract ideals. They are meant to be lived and practiced. Islam emphasizes that belief alone is not enough without action. A Muslim is called to embody good character in every part of life. Honesty in business, kindness to neighbors, respect for parents, compassion for the poor, humility in leadership, and fairness in judgment. These are not optional qualities, they are obligations. The Prophet Muhammad described good character as the essence of faith, and his own life was the living example of how morality is applied in real-world situations. He forgave his enemies, uplifted the oppressed, honored women, and treated everyone with respect, regardless of status or background. He taught that the best among people are those who are best in character. This legacy continues to shape Muslims around the world, motivating them to seek excellence in their dealings and to act with integrity, even when no one is watching. Islam does not allow morality to be selective or situational. It demands that justice be upheld, even if it is against one's own self, family, or community. This level of ethical accountability builds a society based on fairness, not favoritism. Corruption, oppression, dishonesty, and exploitation are not only discouraged, they are condemned. Islam speaks out clearly and firmly against injustice, no matter who commits it. It emphasizes the sanctity of life, the importance of intention, and the balance between individual rights and community responsibilities. Every human being is considered a creation of Allah, and therefore worthy of respect. Whether rich or poor, powerful or weak, all are equal in the sight of God. This equality before the law and the Creator is a revolutionary idea that Islam introduced long before modern human rights movements. Importantly, the moral code of Islam is holistic. It encompasses both public and private life. A person is not considered righteous simply because of public acts of worship or charity. Islam holds individuals accountable for their treatment of others in private, how they treat their spouse, how they speak to their children, whether they fulfill their promises, whether they control their anger or backbiting. This depth of ethical concern ensures that morality is not for show. It is deeply internalized. It transforms not only what a person does, but who they become. Moreover, Islamic morality is not built on guilt or fear alone. It is driven by love, hope, and the desire to please God. When a believer avoids a sinful act, it's not merely out of fear of punishment, but out of a sincere desire to live in a way that is pleasing to their Creator. This connection between faith and morality strengthens the soul. It creates a conscience that is alive, a heart that is awake, and a mind that is aware. It produces individuals who are not just law-abiding, but noble in character. In every era and in every society, there is a deep yearning for moral clarity. People want to know how to live rightly, how to raise their children well, how to be just, honest, and compassionate. Islam answers these questions not with vague ideals, but with detailed guidance, practical examples, and a divine foundation that does not change. In doing so, it builds strong individuals, strong families, and strong communities. And in a world drowning in ethical ambiguity, the moral foundation of Islam stands like a lighthouse, constant, reliable, and filled with light. One of the most profound aspects of Islam is its emphasis on community and social responsibility. While the individual's relationship with God is paramount in Islam, it does not promote isolation or individualism in the sense that modern society often does. Islam teaches that human beings were created to live in a community, to support each other, and to collaborate in building a just and compassionate society. This is clear in the structure of Islamic teachings, which place a strong emphasis on mutual rights and obligations. The concept of Vima, the global Muslim community, is central to the faith. It transcends geographical, cultural, and ethnic boundaries, creating a sense of global solidarity among Muslims. This communal aspect of Islam fosters a shared sense of belonging and collective responsibility. The believer is not just concerned with their own well-being, but with the well-being of others, both within and outside their community. The idea of social responsibility in Islam goes beyond simply helping the needy. It calls for justice, equity, and the protection of the marginalized and vulnerable. One of the primary mechanisms for achieving this is zakat, the obligatory almsgiving. Every year, Muslims are required to give a portion of their wealth to those in need, which helps to redistribute wealth and reduce inequality within the community. This is not optional charity. It is a right of the poor and the needy, and it ensures that wealth does not remain concentrated in the hands of a few. In addition to zakat, Islam encourages other acts of charity such as voluntary giving, supporting orphans, taking care of the elderly, and ensuring that no one is left behind. This system creates a balanced society where no one is left in extreme poverty or destitution. Islam also calls for social justice in the legal and political realms. It advocates for fair treatment and the protection of human rights for all people, regardless of their religion, race, or social status. The legal system in Islam, based on Sharia, emphasizes justice and fairness in dealing with disputes, crimes, and contracts. It is designed to protect the rights of the weak, prevent exploitation, and promote harmony and peace. There are clear prohibitions on bribery, injustice, and corruption, and strong emphasis is placed on accountability for leaders and rulers. The Prophet Muhammad was known for his strong stance against oppression, and his teachings emphasized that leadership is a trust and a responsibility to serve the people, not to exploit them for personal gain. Islamic teachings also prioritize the importance of education. The Qur'an and the Hadiths emphasize the pursuit of knowledge as an essential aspect of a Muslim's life. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim." Knowledge in Islam is not limited to religious studies. It encompasses all beneficial learning, including science, medicine, philosophy, and the arts. Throughout history, Muslim scholars have made profound contributions to the advancement of civilization, from the fields of mathematics and astronomy to medicine and philosophy. The Islamic Golden Age, which flourished between the 8th and 14th centuries, saw the rise of institutions such as universities and hospitals, where knowledge was shared freely and learning was regarded as a noble endeavor. In Islam, education is not only about acquiring facts, it is about gaining wisdom and understanding, applying that knowledge in service of God and humanity, and constantly striving for improvement. The emphasis on family is another key aspect of Islamic social teachings. Islam teaches that the family is the foundation of society, and that the relationship between husband and wife, parents and children, and extended family members should be based on love, respect, and mutual responsibility. The family unit is seen as a place of emotional support, guidance, and moral development. Parents are entrusted with the responsibility of nurturing and educating their children, both spiritually and morally. The relationship between spouses is built on kindness, compassion, and equality. The Qur'an speaks of marriage as a sacred bond, likening it to a source of tranquility and love. The family is also a place where social values such as generosity, hospitality, and forgiveness are passed down to the next generation. Furthermore, Islam encourages Muslims to foster positive relationships with their neighbors, co-workers, and the broader society. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized kindness to neighbors, stating that one should not harm others and should always offer help and support when possible. In a society where individualism is often prioritized over collective well-being, Islam's emphasis on community stands as a reminder that human beings thrive when they work together, support each other, and strive for the common good. Islam calls on Muslims to be active contributors to society, not passive participants. The Prophet Muhammad said, "At the best of people are those who are most beneficial to others." This encapsulates the essence of Islamic social responsibility. The individual is not only concerned with their own welfare, but also with the welfare of others. Islam provides a comprehensive and balanced approach to community and social responsibility, creating a framework that ensures fairness, equity, and justice for all. It encourages individuals to be responsible for their families, their communities, and the world at large, fostering a spirit of cooperation, solidarity, and mutual care. In a world that often emphasizes self-interest and division, the teachings of Islam remind us that we are all connected and that our actions should reflect our duty to support and uplift each other. Islam's approach to knowledge and intellectual pursuit is both profound and comprehensive. From the very beginning, the Qur'an and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad emphasize the importance of knowledge, reason, and reflection. In the very first revelation, the word Igwe was revealed, signaling the start of Islam's dedication to learning. The Quran itself is filled with verses that invite humans to reflect upon the world around them, encouraging intellectual curiosity and reasoning. It speaks of the creation of the heavens and the earth, the water cycle, the process of human development in the natural world as signs, ayat, for those who are willing to think and reflect. This is not a mere call for religious knowledge, but an invitation to all forms of beneficial knowledge. Islam sees no contradiction between faith and reason. Instead, it encourages the seeking of knowledge to understand both the divine and the material world. One of the most important aspects of Islam's intellectual tradition is the respect for diverse fields of knowledge. The pursuit of knowledge is not limited to religious studies, but encompasses every area that benefits humanity. During the Islamic Golden Age, Muslim scholars made significant advancements in various scientific fields. They translated, preserved, and expanded upon the works of the ancient Greeks, Romans, and Persians. In doing so, they laid the foundations for the later development of modern science, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy. Figures such as Ibn Sina, Avicenna, Al-Razi, Rhazes, Al-Khwarizmi, and many others contributed immensely to human understanding and progress. Their work was not only driven by intellectual curiosity, but was also inspired by a desire to understand the universe as a sign of the Creator's wisdom. The Islamic world's emphasis on scholarship and intellectual engagement is evident in the establishment of institutions such as Al-Qarawiyyin in Morocco and Al-Azhar University in Egypt, which became centers of learning for various disciplines. The spirit of intellectual inquiry within Islam was not just about accumulating knowledge, but about using it to benefit society. The Quranic injunctions and prophetic teachings provided a moral framework for how knowledge should be used, always in the service of justice, equity, and compassion. In this regard, Islam does not encourage the acquisition of knowledge for mere intellectual amusement or self-glorification, but for the betterment of mankind, for the improvement of society, and for the development of a deeper understanding of the divine. Furthermore, Islam's focus on education is deeply ingrained in its practices. It is not just a theoretical call to learn, it's a practical one. The Prophet Muhammad stressed the importance of education for all members of society, regardless of gender, age, or social status. The famous saying of the Prophet, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim," underscores the universal nature of this directive. In fact, women played a pivotal role in the transmission of knowledge in early Islamic history, with women like Aisha bint Abi Bakr and Fatima bint Muhammad among the most revered scholars of their time. Islam promotes the idea that the pursuit of knowledge is a continuous journey, one that never ends, and it encourages Muslims to remain humble in their search for truth. In today's world, where information is easily accessible but often fragmented and superficial, Islam's emphasis on deep learning and reflection remains ever relevant. The Qur'an advises its followers to seek knowledge not only for personal development, but also for the collective good. By understanding the world better, whether it be the physical world or the social and political landscape, Muslims are better equipped to fulfill their role as responsible stewards of the earth. They are called to use knowledge for the advancement of justice, peace, and harmony in society. The Islamic tradition also encourages critical thinking, not blind acceptance of ideas. This intellectual spirit is particularly important in the modern world, where misinformation and intellectual complacency often lead to division and confusion. Islam encourages its followers to think critically, to question, and to seek knowledge that leads to deeper understanding and a closer relationship with God. Moreover, the Quran and Hadith offer a detailed blueprint for ethical conduct in the pursuit of knowledge. Knowledge should always be sought with sincerity and humility, and it should be shared for the benefit of others. The Prophet Muhammad said, "The best of people are those who benefit others." This is a reminder that knowledge is not to be hoarded or used for selfish gain, but should be disseminated in ways that uplift and benefit society. Whether it's through scientific discoveries, philosophical insights, or moral teachings, Islam encourages that knowledge should be applied for the welfare of humanity. The pursuit of knowledge is also linked to the pursuit of truth in Islam. Unlike many systems that prioritize relativism or subjective truth, Islam upholds the idea that there is an absolute truth which can be known through revelation, reason, and empirical observation. The quest for truth, therefore, is not only a matter of intellectual exploration, but a spiritual journey as well. The seeker of truth is not only striving for academic success, but is also engaging in an act of devotion and worship. The process of learning, understanding, and discovering is seen as a means of getting closer to the Creator, as knowledge reveals His signs in the world. In Islam, the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong responsibility, and it is seen as an essential aspect of spiritual development. It enriches the mind, strengthens the character, and brings one closer to understanding God's will for humanity. It is not just a means of intellectual advancement, but a means of fulfilling the deeper purpose of life. Whether one is studying the sciences, the arts, or the religion itself, the goal remains the same: to seek knowledge for the sake of truth, to use that knowledge for good, and to help create a better, more just world. Through this lifelong pursuit, Islam offers a pathway to intellectual and spiritual growth, guiding its followers to realize their full potential and contribute meaningfully to society.